And they are tied with the Suns for the 10th seed. Talk about another team we can't figure out. And the Suns have the tiebreaker. We can look at the schedules to see what they are. The Suns, we discussed yesterday, have one of the toughest remaining schedules as things go out. The Knicks, not so much. So, guys, the Mavericks looking to take the play-in spot. Make it make sense.
Listen, you have to respect it. Anthony Davis, the magnitude of this trade with Luka for AD and Max Christie, he played really good in those first 3 quarters,
okay.
right? And there's light at the end of the tunnel based on the talent they have, the rush they had. Then Kyrie Irving goes down. So I think once that happened, I think this season was pretty much a wash. Now they're kind of stuck in no man's land where Anthony Davis is healthy enough to play, so he should play. And you got to respect that for that. And he's the new guy in a new city that's getting kind of dragged through the mud. How the trade was awful. They could have got more. He has something to prove as well. And he's been a guy that's been banged up. He's been injured throughout his career. So it's a tough spot. Realistically, it's tough because I'd rather just shut him down. I'd rather just go for a top 5, top 6 pick and a pretty solid, front-loaded draft this year, rather than continue to go for this, make some noise and lose in the play-in. Then you're sitting there with the 11th, 12th pick. But listen, as a franchise, if you have enough to win right now, it's hard to tell your guys we're just going to shut you down when they're healthy. So they're in a real pickle. Yeah. So
pickle indeed.
I respect it. Just obviously, if you're healthy, play. But
they got to see it through, though.
They are stuck.
Yeah, you got to see it through. Up until last night, you saw AD for 3 quarters, right? And you've been going to war with your fan base. Like, you have to give them something to show them that there's light at the end of this tunnel. Like, you got to show face to the point where it's like we feel like we did the right thing. Then you got to put AD back on the floor. Now you're in a lose-lose because if you go in and play the play-in and give yourself a shot at getting in the playoffs and you fall short, you lose your draft pick. But if you also don't get there, you keep your draft pick. So it's a matter of what does the Dallas Mavericks feel.
No, they have the draft pick.
They have it.
Yeah.
No matter what.
I'm saying the more games they win, the worse that pick gets.
Right.
Okay, so they slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, you're talking about a team that feels like they're ready to win right now. Like
win what right now?
If the Kyrie Irving injury,
but again, with 10 to 11 games left,
oh my gosh,
and they've only seen him 3 quarters up until this point, and you trade Luka for that, you got to put him back on the floor, and you got to win as much as you can going into the summer, so your fan base know that you're still serious and you're still dedicated to being successful.
If the Kyrie Irving injury never happened, I would say yes, because then this team, all you need is a couple weeks to get the momentum back, to find that rhythm, and then this team is dangerous. Without Kyrie Irving, this team's not a contender. Next year, you bring this entire team back, you bring a top 6 pick if they decide to smoke these last 11 games or whatever it is. Then all of a sudden, it's like Philly. Then we're not looking at like a tank. We're not looking at like an absolute disarray.
From scratch.
We're looking at like a contender going into next season, assuming Kyrie Irving can get back for the beginning of the season. So I understand both ways. If your guy's healthy, if to play, especially with losing Luka, you want to prove right now that, look, this is the guy we got for him. He's our future, Anthony Davis. So that makes sense too. But it's like they waited too long. It's just tough. It's a tough spot.
Well, listen, our job is to project, right? So for us, we're looking in the future. For them, you're in the moment. You're in the now. You know how it is in that practice facility. It's hard to get players to buy into next year. If guys are there and they're healthy and they're in their locker room, they want to compete. They want to go out there and give themselves a chance to win games. And it's hard to tell guys, hey, we're going to pack it in so we can go get this young guy next year when you got seasoned vets in your locker room. You got Klay Thompson in that locker room. You got AD.
And they don't even know if they're going to be there next year.
And they don't even know if they're going to be there. So with that, you got to play the cards that you're dealt at this moment right now. And that's what it looks like Dallas is trying to do.
If you're a fan, though, and you've already went through everything with Luka, wouldn't you rather be like, you know what? Nico, you already messed up this season. Don't mess up next.
No, fans aren't GMs. They fans.
Yeah, but that's going to be their opinion. They're thinking, all right.
Why didn't you just put it to a vote to the fans, and that way you just get covered?
Fans want to go to playoff games. They want to go to playoff. Yeah, we're saying that because we're in a different seat. But the average guy, he doesn't want to wait 6 months to bring his son to a game.
I'm telling you right now, if the Spurs were in this situation, this exact situation, and it was okay, you could maybe go to a play-in game, or you can get a better draft pick. At this point, with 11 games left, I just want the better
Can we not
guy.
forget, like 2 years ago, Mark Cuban got fined $1 million for doing this exact same thing, and
That
that
was
pick
fun.
turned into Derek Lively, so it actually worked out.
Right.
So you mean
Totally worth it.
So when you look through
But
that,
we're in a completely different scenario now. Can we agree on that?
we're all for sure.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
like-
the fan base. You already lost the fan base.
That's what I'm saying.
They already think
Take a
Nico
fan
is
vote.
the GM of the team is already public
Then you
enemy number
cover your
one.
butt.
You already smoked this season, in their opinion. Don't now smoke
Put
next
it
season by
away.
losing this pick.
Here's the reality. You've already smoked the season, right? But do you not save face if you're the front office, if you can work your way into the playoffs still this year?
Like,
With everything that's happened, all the injuries that you've happened, trading Luka away, AD being on the fringe of playing, not playing, if you can still sneak this team into the playoffs, that helps you. That saves face of your Nico.
So you think it's a success if they go and they beat the Kings in the first play-in, and then they beat the winner of the Timberwolves Clippers and then get swept by
There's
the Thunder? You
no
think the
world.
fan base is
I
hyped?
think, yes, with everything that happened, them still making the playoffs, I think that's
But you
still a
think
win
there's
for
a
them.
chance in hell that scenario could actually work out?
Whether it happens or not, I'm just telling you, if you put yourself in that scenario, you're saving face.
Do you think you could even shut AD down at this point? Because
No.
I can't imagine going to him and
and
being
also,
like, "We're going to need you to sit."
he's got the most to prove. We talked
Yep.
about it. Like, this dude wants to show the fan base that, look, I am dominant. I am worth the trade. I know everyone's still upset. You lost your baby. He wants to play, and you've
Sure.
heard the report saying that the Mavs kind of didn't want him to come back. AD's camp wants him to come back. So as a
disaster.
player and a competitor, you have to respect AD wanting to be on the floor. Again, then there's rumors that they're going to trade him. Can they trade him if he's not hurt? So could this be an audition for him to show teams this summer that, look, he is healthy going? Like, so
Does he have to?
Put it like this, Beadle.
I don't think so.
Take the trade away. Take the Luka trade away, right?
Yep.
And you take any team that's dealt with the injuries that Dallas has had, right,
Sure.
this year, and then a star player comes back and you still make the playoffs, for any team, that's going to be a success story if you take the trade part away.
But you can't take.
You can't take it away.
That's the
That's the
problem.
elephant in the room. You can't
'Cause
take
that
it away.
was the star
but,
player.
But that's my whole thing. Now that how this team is built and everything that's happened since that trade, if you can still manage to get in the playoff, win 2 games to work yourself into a playoff, whether you get swept or not, I still think there's light at the end of the tunnel where you can show we still have a group here that is capable of winning basketball games. And that's us showing you that with these injuries, with Kyrie still being out, with AD going through what he's going through, we still worked our way into the playoffs. So I'm agreeing with you guys, but the yin to the yang to that is if you can still put yourself in that position, I think that saves face.
And you know what? As think about the only other team that's kind of had this kind of a nightmare season is Philly.
Sure.
And ever since they officially shut
And
down.
imagine Philly still being in a spot to get in the playoffs, and they get to the playoffs.
But have you
That's
heard
a successful
have you heard
year.
a peep about Philly since they shut down Joel Embiid? No, because they're
Absolutely
looking
not.
forward to next year, and they're salvaging next
Lost
year
5 in a row.
by throwing in this season. And they are bettering their pick every game that they don't play those guys. So I feel like Dallas could technically do the
Different
same
scenarios.
thing.
Different scenarios.
All I'm saying is
they traded 4 guys. This team traded the guy away. That's a completely different scenario. And again, if Joel Embiid had only played 3 quarters, Joel would be on the floor right now. Completely
maybe.
different. Yeah.
just ask the fans. That way you cover your
You
butt.
want him to take a
Then-
poll.
Take a poll, and then
This
that way
guy's
when it
making
happens, you can be like,
$5 million a year as a GM. You
what
think he's
guys
taking a
wanted.
poll?
Yes.
chance.
Yes, I am. We take polls over everything. It's the democratic way. Just do it. That way you cover your butt, Nico. Listen, I'm not kidding.